Hello everyone. Hi Yusuf. How are you doing? Hope everything is good on your side.
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Great, thanks. So the reason really happy that you're over here and we're able to make the time to make this work. I think we've been planning this for some time and some things that I really wanted to share and also hopefully get your thoughts on some things. And I really created discussion like we used to have over the past few months, talking about various corporate policies and in general how human beings work, think, or should behave, and the kind of activities they should indulge in order to achieve maximum amount of efficiency and success in their corporate adventures. And the reason, one of the things that really struck me, I think we were talking about a certain piece of philosophy a few weeks ago, and it really hit me that there's a lot more that we can dive into this specific idea that you had, and I wanted to really talk about different perspective, different ways in which that idea has influenced me when I think about life, when I think about whatever we have talked about, whether it's your experiences or mine. I think that there's a lot about seeing particular instances that really correspond to this idea and how it is being reflected in multiple areas of our multiple activities that we have indulged in or multiple circumstances. So, um, if you can, for the audience, tell a little bit about your experiences and where you started off and what what was your thoughts when you were first starting off your adventures.
Yeah, I mean, uh, one of the things that we discussed and that was really fun is a story that I've heard. It's actually an old Indian story, and all the Indian religions claim that it is theirs, so it's probably good for everybody. It is the story of the six blind men and the elephant. Um, it's a story about an ancient king with a weird sense of humor, who is asking six sages to explain to him what an elephant looks like. And the weird sense of humor comes into play because he's asking six blind people. So the first guy runs into the elephant and he's catching, for example, the side, and he says an elephant is like a wall. The second grabs a leg of the elephant and he says an elephant is like a tree. The next guy grabs the trunk and says, "Hey guys, are you all blind? An elephant is very much like a fire hose or whatever was available at the time." The next guy grabs the tail and says, "An elephant is like a broom." One guy grabs an ear and says, "The elephant is like a fan." And the moral of the story is, uh, it seems like they are all talking about different things. Um, But the truth is they are all right. Everybody, the description of each of the guys is a correct description of what they are experiencing, except that their experience is not complete. There are pieces missing. And if you get all of the pieces together, then it you suddenly get a new perspective on everything that is happening. And what I really liked about what we've done together is that you have found your own way or your own situations where you can apply anecdotes like this. So, would you mind telling us one of the stories, where whether you knew the story of the elephant or not, where you applied it?
Right. So, yeah. So it takes me a few, I think a year back perhaps, and I didn't really know the story and how it was going, but in so many ways, I was very lucky actually that time. I was very, I was given. So one of the things that I find really important is the kind of people you hang out with, and I was very lucky to have great friends during my bachelor's and when I was studying. And these guys, these were the guys who always thought out of the box. These people who were filled with ideas. I had a friend whose name was Anshit, and he came up with me. He came up to me, and I think before an accounts exam we had, and we were all kind of zoned into the exam mode and everything. And this guy comes up and calls me up at like around 9 o'clock in the night, and he says, "Hey man, I've got this great idea. It's fantastic. It's going to change everything." And he's super excited about this. And none of us have stepped into the corporate world yet, although we were doing internships, and he was doing it a very in a very ferocious way. I would say he was doing three internships at a time. and not even attaining classes. This guy was the kind of guy who really wanted to make a change in the corporate world, and very brainy guy. So he came and he started talking, and after the exams, of course, it took really high speed. We talked about how to implement this idea, or what this idea should be. It was a lot related to the food sector and everything, and food services. And I realized I went and talked to a few other. By chance, we managed to meet somebody who had a food truck business, who was running in a different campus, the same institution that we were studying. And we got an idea about how kitchens work, how food services work, how the distribution channel works, how logistics work. And then we talked to our HOD, who's an expert in marketing, and since he's worked with PHG and Airtel and a lot of MNCs, and he gave us an idea about how the marketing stream works and how we're supposed to market ourselves efficiently. Since we're into service, it needed to be there was a totally different strategy. And we talked to my friend who had his own, who is into multiple ventures, mostly into he had started on paper manufacturing company. He started a bunch of other ventures, stationery, gold, bunch of things. And he gave his perspective about how customer psychology works and how we should kind of tweak our services in a way that might seem appealing to people, not only the end customer, but also the ones in the middle might be more of a B2B customer. And using all these perspectives, I was able to come up with a solution. Of course, my uncle also helped a lot with the overall financial analysis and everything. And it just dawned me that a lot of people uh, may sure they say that being an entrepreneur is it requires you to wear multiple hats, and you must be the kind of guy who the jack of all trades. But um, getting other people's perspectives, it really made me understand how viable that idea really was. In reality, sure, it sounded great on paper, but in reality, it was far more difficult to apply that on ground. And we were being, I would say, we were having an hyper idealistic vision about how we should go on about this. And this kind of brought us down to the ground and said, this is the on and reality. So
Hmm.
this again, many perspectives. It was really it required me to think in this way. And from every now and then, I make sure I talk to various people, industry leaders from different places. Uh, Whether you have experience or not, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about our product and the customer?
Hmm.
So this really, and once you mentioned it, I said, wow, this is a strategy. You put it into words, it sounds so simple, but I was going out at it the totally wrong way, hoping that things would work out when all I needed was to hear people's opinions. And I think you had multiple instances in your life, I think, which propel you towards this philosophy.
Oh yes.
Can you share, probably, you can tell me about some of your experiences too?
Yeah, I think the most striking experience that we had was when we were in a software development team with, I don't remember, 50 or 100 people or something like that. There were 2 dozen people in Germany, spread over two different locations. There was a significant team in your location in Bangalore. There were people in South Africa and Canada. I don't remember everything. And we had the situation was originally those were two teams who were internally competing for the same topic. And eventually there was a executive decision to put these two teams together and let them work together and figure it out. And of course, people don't become friends by an executive decision alone. So the competition and the hidden disagreements went on for a long time. And it peaked at a situation where everybody went to their own um, team outing, and just a friend of mine and from the other team and I stayed in the office, and we figured we are going to use that day to sort it out. And eventually we stood in front of the whiteboard, and he drew a picture on the whiteboard that was just three boxes representing the three teams, three partial teams. Um, and he said, this is the chain of dependencies. We have us at the top, and we have one of the contributors who delivers to us, and we have another contributor who delivers to us, and it was kind of like a triangle, a reverse V. And then I said, no, no, the dependencies are totally different. We have you at the top, and then the second team below that, they ship to you, and we have a third team that is us, and we deliver to the second team. And when we put that all together, we saw both of the perspectives are right. There are some things. It's exactly the story of the elephant. There are some things that my, in quotes, my team was delivering directly to his, and there are some things where we were delivering indirectly to his, where we were contributing indirectly. So we had the entire triangle, and when everybody was back in the office, we presented that. We presented that along with the story of the elephant, and we through the magic of the story of the elephant, we discovered for half a year or something like that, every week more instances where we had misunderstandings that had that basis, where people were using the same words for different things or different words for the same things, and we just had to hammer out our own communications. Um, and in almost every meeting of all teams, we've had somebody shouting, "Oh, we have another elephant here. You're talking about this in these words. You're talking about that in these words. It is an elephant situation. Let's figure out what we really mean." It took a long time because the misunderstandings had grown over years, and you can't sort that out in days. But it was a really, really, really satisfying experience to be part of this growing together of teams who had, I wouldn't say fought each other claws and teeth, but it was really not a friendly situation for a very long time. It was just great. And um, this story of the six blind men and the elephant is all over the place, and it is a very, very, very strong healing story, and I really like it, and I'm glad we can use it and make it available to a lot of people in this way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was a very interesting story. Even in companies like SFU and these struggles, that's very interesting to know. But yes, one of the ways that I mean that's what makes this psychology so useful, so resourceful, and so unique, and yet so I would say in a way confusing, but also at the same time, I think most of the people's experiences that led them to that point really shape their thoughts and make them perhaps in a stubborn or rigid way make them think only in one certain perspective. And I was an example of that. I was very stubborn, and I had a very I would say rigid and totally not flexible way of thinking. It wasn't really that I was rigid, but I didn't know that I was. It was like I was trapped in my own mind, something like that. There was this so I think a lot of the things, the mindset of an entrepreneur is quite unique. And the reason I say this is because of my experience with working with some founders. I was working with the founder of WC some time ago, and he had an incredible story. We had a great time together. I learned so much from him. I think he was the one who kind of lit up that entrepreneurial spark in me. And when we were working in, I was working with him. He made a point for me to keep to myself, to really think about how this company needs to thrive rather than how I need to thrive, and
Hmm.
start thinking of
Hmm.
everything from a very different I would say an entrepreneur's mind. So in making creating opportunities for yourself, making these opportunities work for you, which is really the core of any entrepreneur in any businessman's mind, or the strategy. And the the uh, the way it was instilled in me, even today, I remember. I never forget this lesson that I learned. It was always for me unilateral. So I was always looking at it from a bottom to top approach. And what he did was he took me all the way to the top and said, "Look, these are the different domains. These are the different places. These are different people that are working in congruence to deliver this product." And the uniqueness is each one of these domains, each one of these departments can be taken apart and a separate agency or entity can be created out of these that yield revenue in a way. And I had a very bad. So this is a primarily a HR consulting company, and they would provide resources from different places in India to with they had contracts with big companies, Fortune 500 companies, and they would what they would really do is they would find great resources, great people who had the skill, the thing, and they would really help them connect or get find opportunities in these big companies. I never knew what HR was. I thought in plain terms, HR is the person who manages your internal employee record and manage all that internal management. He does that. So the performance management, all that. But that was a very small aspect. When you take HR as a separate field, you see that recruitment happens side by side, but it can also happen as the main job of a company. Same thing with marketing, sales, same thing with finance. You have consulting companies, you have financial services companies deal with only finance. And I think some at some point he had to kind of force it into me because I never I didn't know how to differentiate between these different thoughts that I was getting. I need to kind of narrow it down and streamline it in a way that would make me feel that kind of arrange these thoughts in a very systematic order. But once I did, I realized how things come together and attaining a very broad perspective really helps you dive into the concept of implementing things at a very small level to the point where they have a really huge effect. And that's how I think that played out again. So again, multiple instances, and this is a profound experience. I'll
Hmm.
never forget this.
Hmm. So now that we have that experience, what do we make out of it?
Well, I guess it paved way for more entrepreneurship thoughts, and more importantly, generally the way I look at life, the way I look at people, the way I look at anything that might come in my way. It's just okay. Wait, I'm looking at it from here. I'm going to go here, 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 and then look at it and see if it makes any difference in the way I actually solve this challenge, problem, or seek new opportunities.
Hmm.
I think the story of the elephant has quite it's been emphasized a lot on one of our many of our discussions, and I think it really in the beginning, even when we were talking about your experiences, well, way back when you first started, and right now things that you're doing, it really brought out a lot more juice to our conversations.
Hmm. And that is what we wanted to do with our audience. Now we have seen two perspectives on the story of the six blind men and the elephant, and we would kindly invite you to contribute as well. However you like, send us an email, write it into the comments, create your own videos if you want. We would like to hear your perspective on the six blind men and the elephant in order to broaden ours and everybody's. And we're going to turn the whole thing into more videos like this, where we are going to talk more about interesting stories. And we are going to invite you to contribute your views on that, because most of the time we're going to have two views, but we would like to have six or more. And with that, I think we can leave it for
Yeah.
today. Thank you, Aditya,
Yes. Thank you, sir.
and see you again
Looking forward
with
to
another
the
elephant.
interaction.